to my channel. I'm so happy you're here today. We are talking sweeteners. I love this recipe because you can change out what you have on hand, you can buy for what's on sale, and really it just makes, I always tell people too, being whole food plant-based doesn't have to be boring, and especially if you like play around with some of the items I'm going to show you today, it can either maybe make one of your recipes you're trying a little bit more exciting, or just change it up and you might find something you even love more. So we are talking about paste, and specifically sweet paste. That's what I want to call today's recipe, and you know, when you go to our website, that's what it's under. Now, you guys have been following me for a while, know that I use date paste primarily. I really only use 2 sweeteners in our house, date paste and blackstrap molasses. Mainly date paste, though, it's kind of a little bit easier to create recipes, and it has a little bit of a milder taste compared to blackstrap molasses. So I have a video on just date paste. I will link that up above. I get asked all the time, how do I make it? It is so easy. So date paste, if you don't want to watch the video, it's really just 1-to-1. Whatever amount you want to make, it's 1 cup of water to 1 cup pitted dates. Now you can use tons of different variety of dates. I generally will use medjool dates. They're a little bit softer and plumper where I live. You just want to make sure you pit them, and then you blend them together in a blender, and it makes a really thick and beautiful sweetener. So now I use this for savory, sweet, baked goods, sauces, you know, whenever it calls for a sweetener, I generally will just use date paste. It's so easy. But I've discovered over the last couple years, and I think this is something really important to talk about, is that whole food plant-based does not have to get boring. You can switch it up and still make it spicy and exciting, right? And I don't mean spicy flavor-wise. Add a little spice into your recipe creating. And that's swapping out date paste for a different paste. And really any fruit will make a paste. So we're going to talk about my favorites. There's a bunch, but this is also awesome if like you're going through your cupboard or your freezer or wherever you store your dried fruit, and you find something and you're like, I don't know when I'm going to eat figs. You can make fig paste out of it and change it up. So I love to buy stuff on sale. I like to go and change it up depending on the season and the recipe, but I'm going to talk about my favorites. So up first is my most favorite around the springtime. I am a huge lover of apricots. I love fresh apricots, which are so fun to get. And I also love dried apricots. And around the springtime, I tend to do a lot of baking with apricots. And so I love making an apricot paste. And you can just sub it in for when a recipe calls for date paste, or you can make sauces out of this. And it's just 1-to-1. 1 cup of apricots, dried apricots, to 1 cup of water. And it makes, just like date paste, a paste. Who would have thought? I also love to, you know, just have this on hand. It smells so good. I love apricots. But what I also do is, I'll talk about the storing of them, but it's just so great just to have a whole batch like ready to go. If you don't have a Vitamix, okay, you can soak your dried fruit, whichever recipe you're doing, in hot water. That will help your blender out a lot. If you have a Vitamix, as long as you're making sure you have that 1-to-1 ratio, you probably can get away with not soaking them in hot water. Vitamix is pretty much a powerhouse. I kind of skip this step most times, but that could be a good idea if you're just starting out or if you're nervous about your blender really mixing it up well. So apricot paste is a must. Up next, I have some prune paste. Prunes are just dried plums, and so, you know, sometimes in the back of your cupboard you may have prunes. So I made some prune paste, and it's great. Has a totally different kind of flavor profile than apricot and dates, and it's just so good. Another favorite is figs. I talked about that at the beginning. Fig paste is awesome. And I also like dark sweet cherries from Trader Joe's. There's no other ingredient. I do suggest you read all of the ingredients on your dried fruit. There is sometimes sneaky stuff that they put in them, but you can find ones without. Dark sweet cherries are great. That's the only ingredient. And so again, it's just 1-to-1. You can soak these in hot water if you're not using a Vitamix, but you can just add them to your blender. You can add equal parts water and blend it up, and then you'll get a delicious thick paste. And depending on how chunky or not chunky you want, you can play around with the water ratio or how long you blend it. I love it. So I really wanted to share this with you guys. I think a lot of times we just think like, oh, it has to be date paste. Any dried fruit will work. I love kind of changing it up again, especially if you've been doing this for a while. That can be so fun and add so much flavor. So I'm going to talk about storing it and a little tip I got from a really good friend. And you know, this keeps in the refrigerator for around 7 to, I've got it a little bit past 7 days. You also can freeze it in containers. So I like to get these wide mouth mason jars, really easy to scoop them out. And if I'm gonna make a date or a sweet paste, I just wanna make sure I label it, because sometimes if you make apricot, you know, it's a little bit different in color, but they look kind of similar. So especially if you're gonna freeze it, you might wanna just label it. But there's so many good options. And same with like the dried cherries kind of look like prunes and kind of look like figs. So just make sure you label it when you're going to put it. I will talk about a recipe real quick in our private membership. So if you guys didn't know, I have a private membership. It's kind of where I put out all of our recipes ahead of time, and then slowly they kind of trickle out into this page or our YouTube channel and website. But I put out 5 recipes every month. This past month we had banana muffins, and they are some of my favorite. And I love to do the apricot paste instead of date paste for that recipe. So if you're in the membership, try it with apricot paste or any other ones, and it just slightly changes it up with flavoring. I will post all the recipes that are in our membership page. If you want to sign up, all the information is linked down below. You can try it out for a month and cancel. We have a free coupon. If you sign up for our membership, there's a coupon that you get for all of our ebooks, 50% off. We also have our class. We do a live cooking class every month, tons of other stuff in there. So it's a really, really great value if you're interested. But one of my tips and tricks for date paste or sweet paste is to grab an ice cube tray. Now you can measure this out if you want it to be 2 tablespoons exactly. You can measure it out before you put them in. It's up to you, but I love to freeze any kind of paste in ice cube trays and then pop them out and keep them in a reusable sealed bag. Just mark whatever it is, the date, and stick them in the freezer, and then I have little ice cubes of each, you know, amount. And that's really great if you're adding it to a sauce, if you're looking to just have a small amount and you don't want a huge amount. It's just a really good option. So a lot of the times, even with vegetable broth, lemon juice, you know, we like to use our ice cube trays, and that is thanks to one of my dear friends, Linda Jones, who introduced me to that kind of hack. It's kind of life-changing when you figure it out, but anytime you do vegetable broth, it's really awesome because you can just pop one out and saute whatever you're working on. But it's the same with date paste or sweet paste. So I made a bunch, so I have like so much. I'm gonna make up our dried cherries. So I am only 2 people here in our home. This is too much for us, obviously, to get through, even with recipe testing. So I'm gonna freeze a bunch, pop them up into bags. They last a really long time doing it that way as well. And then I can just grab them out whenever I'm ready. And again, if you want to use that for specifically for, you know, baked goods or recipes, you can measure out like a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons at a time so you know exactly what's going into it. So I hope today's video was helpful. I hope you will make sweet paste with whatever dried fruit you have at home. If you find that like dates are too expensive and you find something a little bit cheaper, if you want to use raisins, you can make raisin paste. There are endless amounts of options and flavors, and you can have fun with it. And then another tip, real quick before I let you guys go, is sometimes I add spices to them. So it depends. Sometimes I don't do this for like a big container of it, or if I know it's the time of year where I want that spice, like maybe I will put some pumpkin pie spice in here or extra cinnamon. That kind of also can change the flavor. Some vanilla powder is also really lovely. You can play around with it. Lemon juice to kind of brightening it. So there's so many different options. It never has to get boring. Whole food plant-based never has to get boring. You can have all of the sweet paste that you want, and you know, check out your cupboard, see what you have in there. You'd be surprised what's kind of hidden in the back that you can make a paste from. All right, I will see you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching. Check out down below, has all the information on our membership as well as our ebooks and this recipe. But I'd love to know in the comments what you make and what you love. And it can be, you know, it never has to be boring. You can make sauces, you know, plum sauce out of this, out of the prunes, apricot sauce. Have fun with it. I hope you guys enjoy. I will see you guys later. Thanks so much. Bye, guys.